Many people dream of starting a podcast, seeing its potential for brand building, thought leadership, and of course, engagement. But the tech side can feel a little bit like a mountain. And as a podcast producer, I get this question all the time. Where do I even begin? What equipment do I actually need? And how do I record the audio so it doesn't sound like I'm recording in a tin can, right? In this episode, we are going to give you concise, actionable checklist and your essential tech, initial studio setup, and the crucial step of where to host it. Let's dive in. Welcome to Podcast for Success, produced by City Media Group, where creativity meets strategy and smart shows are built with smarter tools. Whether you're navigating the best systems, diving into the latest AI tools, or want to know behind the scenes moves that takes your show from idea to air, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Stacey Maynard, and each time we talk about branding to batching to setup and scale, welcome to your shortcut to creating a podcast that works. This is how you can podcast for success. Let's hit record. Okay, let's dive into exactly what you need to get your podcast into other people's headphones. Okay, first things first, your microphone. Remember, you don't want to sound like you're in a tin can, but you also don't want to spend $1 million. But it is arguably the most important piece of equipment because this is what directly captures your voice and sets the tone for your entire show. If people can't stand the sound or the quality is bad or anything like that, it's basically going to make them turn it off, and that's the last thing you want. So a good mic ensures clarity and presence and captures your message. And that's exactly what you want to get into your listeners' headphones. So there's basically two types of microphones. There's a USB microphone and what we call an XLR microphone. But basically they're designed for simplicity. So think of a USB microphone. Basically it's you buy it, you plug it directly into your computer, and basically the setup's really easy. It's the perfect solution to get started. It's the perfect solution for solo podcasters, and it comes literally plug and play. And the sound sounds pretty good, which is amazing. So basically, if you can, record a message on your phone or talk at all, this is the mic for you. Now, the other ones are XLR microphones, which basically connect into what we call an audio interface. And you can go there. They're great for guest appearances. They're great if you're going to do sort of a co-host environment where you have one microphone and two, and you plug it into this audio interface. And then, of course, it goes into your computer. So the sounds are really great on those ones as well. But again, for maximum flexibility and professional sound, you do want to think about what that looks like. And the cost for those really vary, so do your research. But remember, we've just came through COVID where everything is online, right? We've done Zoom calls and team meetings and Google Meet meetings and all of that kind of stuff. So you probably already have a microphone in your house that is going to capture really good sound. Even if you have a phone with your wired headset, those are really good as well. So again, don't go crazy. This is a great place to start, is just your basic USB microphone or your phone microphone. But regardless of your type, remember, you want to keep the microphone consistently positioned near your mouth like I am right now, for those of you that can see me, right? Again, I can shift my face to look multiple ways, but that's not really going to help, right? We want to make sure that we sort of stay in a position so that you're talking directly to the microphone. So again, my biggest tip is to start easy, start fast, and start inexpensive, right? And a good USB microphone is excellent for that. You have your microphone, you have your computer, you're ready to go, and you're ready to record. My biggest tip is to test, right? In the construction industry, they always say measure twice, cut once. I'm going to say record twice, or maybe 3 or 4 times, test it out, make sure it's working, check different volume levels, press buttons on your microphone, turn dials, and do tests upon tests, and make sure that you can sound okay. But the second thing to consider is your environment, and that can make a big difference. So your environment's a big opportunity. And I know back in the day when I was teaching podcasting, I would say record in your closet. That was the best sound that could possibly be in your house. However, When we're talking about video podcasts, not necessarily the best environment, right? We're not going to record in a dark closet. We're not going to see all the clothes hanging in our spaces. So what does that look like, and what does that do for sound? Well, basically, you can have a great mic, but if you're in a really bad room, you're not going to pick up sound very easily. So your goal basically with your environment is to minimize echo and to minimize that background noise. So obviously small spaces are better. Furnished spaces are better as well. Basically, the way to think about it is sound waves bounce off of hard, flat surfaces, creating an echo, but soft, carpeted spaces absorb that extra sound. So beds are really good. Curtains are really good. A small room with soft furnishings, lots of pillows, drapes, all of that kind of stuff. They'll absorb all of that extra sound. So there will no longer be an echo. And that's exactly what you want. So think about kind of creating that, right? It doesn't have to be, big things on your walls and big expensive foam panels. Thick blankets, pillows, cushions, area rugs, all of that kind of stuff can really absorb that sound. And then, of course, eliminating all of that extra noise, right? Think about the air conditioner, think about your heating system, thinking about your dishwasher or your refrigerator or any of those other things, even computer notifications. Think about all of those extra things that can make noise, and people, right? Tell people that you are going to be recording, because you don't want that knock on the door. You don't want them stomping over your head if you're in the basement, or just walking around in general. So think about those times during the day that your house is the quietest, and go ahead and record, right? You don't need a big professional sound studio. You just need that quiet space in your house with soft materials. That can make the biggest difference when it comes to your audio quality. Okay, so we've done the recording. We've got the mic. We've got the room. We've got the background if you're doing video. You've got your space. You're good to go. You've done your recording. But how are you recording, right? It's great to say on your computer, but what does that actually look like? Well, basically on a computer, like I'm not a big fan of internet-based recording studios. Unless you are doing remote studios and you're doing remote guests, that's a different conversation. But if you're doing it on your own, your computer on its own can be your best recording device. So what does that look like? For example, on Apple, on my Mac, which I love, is QuickTime. I'm literally just recording on QuickTime and we're good to go. So you can then, you can adjust, you can make sure you've chosen the right microphone, all of that kind of stuff. But when we're looking at remote, right? So you have a guest that's remote, there's lots of different programs out there to basically kind of take your guest, meet them in a Google Meet you can use. I don't really like Zoom, so I'm not going to suggest Zoom. Riverside is another one that you can use. But basically you do want a place where it is going to allow you to have separate audio files per participant. And that is for your podcast producers so that they can have a better quality, because if you are recording with a guest, and let's just say a dog barks in the background or something happens on their end or they're coughing and you're still talking and you don't want to, well, I really like what I said there and I don't want to re-record it, or I don't want to go back and I didn't want to tell my guest to tell them to stop coughing. Make sure that, again, if there was 2 audio files, we can cut that out, right? We can just mute that one, which is perfect. So think about that kind of stuff. So there are some free softwares in regards to doing that. You don't have to get into super expensive, editing software and stuff like that. But if you just talk like I am, I'm not going to be editing this. I'm a natural podcast producer, let's just say. I leave in a lot of the ums. I leave in the way that people talk, because why would you cut that out, right? This is who I am. If you saw me on stage or you meet me in person, this is the way I talk. This is the way I explain things. It's kind of like we're just sitting there and you're listening to me talk as if we were having coffee. As soon as you start to over edit, it becomes very disjointed, right? Now, you can obviously go into some AI-powered editing tools. There's amazing ones that will transcribe your show, and you can literally edit it like you're in a Word document. amazing, right? They're fantastic. There's a lot of amazing ones out there. And if that's the route you want to go, absolutely. And we are going to dive deeper into future episodes when it comes to specific AI tools for both recording and for post-production. The AI tools can be amazing to do a lot of the work for you. So I also want to talk about some things that are often forgotten pieces, basically, when it comes to your audio. So a couple of things that you can think about is a pop filter, basically like a sort of a piece of material, basically, that kind of goes over your microphone, and it just kind of minimizes some of those pop sounds when you say P's and B's. Small investment, but sometimes can be worth it. And then when you're dealing with guests or you're having a conversation with guests, think about headphones. So this is so that when you're having the conversation with them, they're not coming through the mic, right? It kind of minimizes a lot of that background sound. So think about that as well, right? So it's coming through your headphones as opposed to your computer speaker, which can then go into your mic. So it just kind of helps the flow. Again, it helps with that post-editing process as well. But it can also minimize those external sounds and make it a clean sound for your listener. And that's basically what we're focused on here when we talk about equipment and we talk about all the tech, is just making it a better listening experience for your audience. Because it's great, again, if they clicked play and they want to hear what you have to say and they love your story and they really want to dive in. And then they're like, oh, like there's a lot of background noise. Oh, it's really hard to hear. Oh, I hear all that dinging. Oh, I hear the refrigerator humming, or oh, I hear their air conditioner going off. It becomes irritating. So we want to make for a really good listening experience, which is why we want to invest a little bit of effort into our microphone, our headphones, our computer, our recording, and how we're going to do that. So the only other thing that I want to talk about today is that crucial step of hosting your show. Again, you've dreamed of having a show, you've bought the equipment, you've invested your time, you've invested in sort of making your space a good space for your show and for your audience, whether it's video or audio. But when it comes to how do I begin and how do I start a podcast, it's finding your podcast host. That is a big step that a lot of people forget because they just kind of record and then they go, well, now what? Like, how do I actually get it out to the masses, right? So, for example, there's lots of different podcast hosts out there. Some are free, some are paid. I particularly like Spotify as my podcast host. They have Spotify for creators. That's my favorite one. It will generate what we call an RSS feed, which is basically a link that you can then go to Apple Podcasts. You can go to Google, or now it's YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audio, all of those ones, and just kind of go click, sign up. Here's my RSS feed, and they will then pull it every time you upload a new episode. So some of those pieces become like, oh, well, how do I do that? Do I have to do it every time? No, you don't. It's literally a one and done, which is great. But you do need one because you need a place once you have that video or audio file, you need to upload it somewhere, right? That's basically kind of taking that raw footage from your computer and going, here, it's a podcast. Now go, and that RSS feed will go, boom, send it out to everywhere, which is why we can now say, go listen to this podcast wherever your favorite listening platform is. So some of you might be listening on Apple, some of you might be listening on Spotify, some of you might be listening in other places, and that's awesome. But basically, you want your show to be in all of them, so it's not like, here, I want you to listen here or there. No, it's absolutely everywhere. So things to look for before you sign up for your hosting is storage, obviously, because you're going to be, uploading a lot of episodes, I hope. But the next one is a big one that a lot of people overlook, and that's analytics. And I'm going to dive deeper in another episode about analytics. But what analytics are important to you? How are you making the decisions on what show has been really popular? What title has got people to click on it? What shows are they listening to the most? What are the different demographics of the people, from age to population, geography, that kind of stuff might be very important to you. So what analytics do you want to measure your show? And then know if the particular hosting platform provides those particular analytics, right? So those are really important. So the only other one I would say would be customer support. That's a big one too. You don't want to kind of be left out in the loop if you're having a problem with a particular platform. So take a look at those. And again, remember pricing, right? Again, some of them are free, some of them are a cost. What does that cost look like? What does the free give you? Think about all of those things when you're looking at your hosting platform. And hey, if you want to know what I think, what I would do in your particular shoes, drop over in our community, ask the question. I'm happy to answer any of the questions you have, or leave a comment below, and I'll definitely give you my thoughts on the different platforms that are there. So that is basically your essential launch checklist, right? Your microphone doesn't have to be a super expensive one, but you do need one. You do need some way for this sound to get to your computer. Think about your environment when you are creating your space or sitting at your desk. What does that look like? If you're doing video, what does the background look like? Where's your sound? Where's your mic? Is it close to your face? Think about headphones. When you're doing that, especially when you're talking about a guest, think about those software that you might be using in regards to either recording or recording with a guest. That's really important as well. And then, of course, once you've recorded it all, what does that hosting service look like for you, right? To get your show out into the world. So I completely understand sometimes when people go, how do I start a podcast? It can be very daunting, but it doesn't have to be. And if you just focus on these core elements, you're going to build a strong foundation for a very professional and very impactful show. So I hope this checklist gives you the confidence to launch your own show. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast show so that you do not miss an episode. Until then, keep building your success one listener at a time. Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Success. If you're ready to work smarter and grow your show, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review. Want even more tips and tools? Visit podcastforsuccess.com, where we share more free resources, behind-the-scenes setup, bonus content, and the latest digital trends. Until next time, keep creating, keep recording, and keep showing up.